So welcome to Team DataFam Tableau User Group meeting number 29. This tug works a little bit differently to others. We cater for the presenter rather than the audience. So we meet at a whole heap of different times when the presenter is available, which is why we're meeting now. All the meetings are obviously live, like this one, recorded and put online so people can look at them and watch them later on as well. All the audience is a presenter. People get a little bit freaked out about that sometimes, but we're trusting you to just turn on your camera and mic when it's a good time for you so you can interact properly and ask questions when you need to. Over the coming few weeks, we'll have some more TC25 presentations. You can see a lot of them in the past on YouTube as well. But if anyone wants to present, please email me at team.datafam@gmail.com. We'll find a slot, we'll fit you in. I just want to get people to present and learn more about Tableau. So if that's applicable to you, please get in touch. We'll have a time slot for you. So today, Kapil is presenting about data quality and Metadata API. So how to use the Metadata API, get into the data dictionary, whole heap of technical stuff. He's the best person to present about that. So I'll hand it over to you and you can take it from here.
Well, thank you, Chris, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. So my name is Kapil, and I'm a former Tableau academic ambassador, and I'm currently working as a business intelligence professional in a SaaS domain. My background is mostly in retail and e-commerce analytics, where I focus on understanding the customer behavior and the trends for retail and e-commerce. But I'm based out of Seattle, and when I started working with data, I quickly realized that Q&A has started. So I quickly realized that I'm more curious about what the numbers meant and what they matter instead of where they're coming from, and how do I bring them to the my tool or my Excel or something. I wanted to make the sense out of the data rather than focusing on how to bring them. But that curiosity has landed me into business intelligence, and I have a master's degree in analytics and I have a bachelor's degree in computer science. I strongly believe that good data storytelling isn't just about dashboards, it's about helping people make better decisions. I'm sure you've heard that all the time in these talks, but yeah, that's what it is about. Well, to start, something very important. The part one, we're going to discuss about data governance. We all know that keeping the documentation up to date and tracking the data lineage in Tableau can be difficult and time consuming. Today, I'll show you a simple automated way to handle this using a Tableau's Metadata API. I've created a Python script that connects directly to your Tableau server. And just to see how it works, I'll give you a little bit of overview first. Let me share the screen. Okay, so just pull up your Jupyter Notebook or any environment where you can run your Python. If you're working in enterprise setting, probably you'd use a Databricks or something. But first, you would connect. Don't worry about my personal access token. I would revoke it after this. So first, you would connect to the server. You would give it your Tableau server link, and then you would give a token name and stuff. So how do you get the token? You have a personal access tokens here. You can create your token and you can revoke it whenever you want. And then it would, once you create, it would give you a secret here. And that's the secret that you have to copy and put it here. And you have to give a token name, just like I gave a Kapil there. So personal access token, you can put here, and then signing. This is about signing into your Tableau server, authenticating, and telling you if the token is required or not. The second part of it is, because you might have a lot of, in an enterprise setting, you would have a lot of workbooks there. So this Metadata API was designed to extract all of it. So you have to give it directions based on what you want. So I designed it in such a way that I would want to input a workbook name and then extract the information for only that workbook. So I would put a target name here where it would ask me enter the workbook name exactly, because that might mess up things if you don't have it exactly. And then it would strip LUID, which is a unique identifier for workbooks on Tableau servers. So why am I extracting this? Because putting the name, hard coding the name, or like fetching the name exactly in this graphical was giving me error, because it might be a safety concern, it might be a data security concern in your enterprise. So I went through LUID way, so that it extracts the UID and then it fetches that workbook. Once that workbook is fetched, it would just talk to the metadata API, and then it would tell me that the UID is found. And then comes the portion of query. This portion here would tell you what exactly you want to extract from it. So here it's going in the workbook, it's filtering that UID and then checking the data sources in there, and then the table name in that data source and the field name, whether it's a calculator field or not. If it's a calculator field, then give me the formula, whether the sheet, where this particular field is used in which sheet, and whether it's being used or not. Sometimes we pull the data in the data modeling. When we're doing the data modeling, we pull a lot of data, but we probably don't even use it in the worksheets. So for all that information, you can define it here. To learn more on how to use graphical, Tableau has a really good resource here. You can just search Tableau Metadata API and graphical. This would tell you exactly how to pull everything. It starts from the very basics, the saying query, and then the object and the attributes, and then gives you examples, and then you can deep dive more into it, what you want to fetch. Some people just want to fetch the name of the workbooks, or I'll tell you why I fetched it in this way, and how it can be useful for your governance. Now, the second part of it is using the Python to figure out getting into that workbook, because Tableau workbook is pretty much just an XML, right? And it gets into that workbook, and it gets into that table. It gets into the workbook, and then it gets into the data sources, and each data source, it would go to the table, then it would go to the field and the sheet it's used into. So this is the Python person. You can just use, I mean, you don't really have to. If you wanted, I could just drop this workbook, the Python workbook, Jupyter Notebook for you guys as well, but you can just do some vibe coding and figure out what you want, because you might have you might want different results than what I wanted. Now, finally, I'm just displaying my results and saving it into Excel. So let's see how it works in real time. I hope it works. So it acquired the token. I wanted to see if the token has been acquired or not, because you want to know whether it's working correct or not. The second thing is it's going to ask me the workbook name. It's asking me here. So I would say career engagement. And it says that the UID is found. And this is where somewhere it lies here on my Tableau cloud, that in the career engagement, I said that this is the workbook, right? Now, it will extract here, but it will also save on my desktop, because I asked it to save it on my desktop. Right now, let's see how it looks. So you can see, perfect. So you can see workbook, data source, table name, field type, and I should probably shorten it. Formula, and the used in the sheet, whether it's been used or not, and then if it's used, in what sheet it has been used. Yeah. So it would say that it's a career book, the data source that it's being used, and the table that was there, and then the field, and whether it's a column field, it's a group field, it's a hierarchy field, it's a calculator field. Let's see an example of some calculator field if there is any. This is a very basic workbook, but yeah. So you can see that the formula here, that it was used count distinct if this employed, and then something like that. So you can get your formula here as well, and then whether it's been used in a sheet or not. No, it's not used, and this one is used, and it's used in this comma separated value. It will give you the sheets. In what cases it might be useful for you? I like to use it when I have to give knowledge transfer, or I have to get ramped up on a workbook myself. For example, I am new to some team, and then they asked me to work on a workbook, and I have no clue about it, like where the data source is, where the data is coming from, what data is being used, what fields are used, what calculator fields are used. What is the alternative for you if you don't have something like this? You would probably go inside the Tableau workbook. You would need a lot of accesses as well. You would go to the data sources. Inside the data source, you'll see the physical model, logical layer of the data modeling. You would then go to the sheets, and then you will try to see each field, and you try to find that equal sign on the left pane in the data pane of the Tableau, and you find that, okay, this is a calculator fields. You click right click, edit calculator fields, and that's how you're going to see it, right? So I think this saves a lot of time there in ramping up on a workbook. And sometimes you could also use it for optimization of your dashboard. For example, you want to see what fields I have pulled, but they're not even used. You could just say yes or no from here. The workaround for this in Tableau is that it just says that hide the unused fields or something, right, on the data pane, but you don't really have a list of it. So, and having an Excel in front of you that gives you all the details about the workbook, the lineage, it's helpful, I feel. Now, I wanted it this way I wanted these attributes for the use cases that I mentioned just now, but you could have other requirements as well. For example, sometimes people miss on the extract filters, what extract filters are used, what data source filters are used. Maybe you could use Metadata API to just fetch extract filters for each dashboard. And it's pretty annoying to figure out what extract filters are used, because you would go to the data source and you would click on the edit filters at the right top of your dashboard, and then you would edit it and you would figure out what used there. And for that also, there's some rendering time if it's a heavy extract, or if it's on live, then good luck spending time on that. So yeah, I feel it could be really helpful in all those ways. I would stop here to ask all of you if you have any questions or before we jump to the data quality segment of it.
It's not a question, it's only a couple of things to add about the topic. It's a really interesting topic, the Metadata API.
Mm-hmm.
First, the Metadata API, we just launched a challenge in the Data Quest exactly about Metadata API. And then in this quest, I don't know if you know about that, but basically we have a kind of a challenge equal to the Makeover Monday or WoW, but for the data dev. And for the data this month, or the previous month, July, we launched a challenge for the Metadata API, and there you will have the steps for do it by yourself. And one of the things, and if I can share only
Sure.
to basically add a value, what the presenter is saying, is this. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. First, you saw the picture of Borapol, right? In the Tableau. Okay. Then all of the stuff that was mentioned is about Tableau Cloud or server. First, if you don't have a server or a cloud and you want to learn about this, the first that you want to go is in this page, the tableau.com developer, and you can get your own sandbox. With your own sandbox, you can play with the Metadata API. The second, one time that you have your own sandbox like this one, you can go to external assets, go to the query Metadata API, and then you can play as is playing with the Jupyter Notebook, but with an interface that is made it only for the Metadata API. Then here you have this click that say documentation, where you can search more about something that you want to see. And the good thing here is that, for example, if I begin to write words like a query, dash, let's say workbook, then look that begin to try to complement, then I can basically give a easier way to know if it's well spelled or not, if I missed the S or something, right? Then I only recommend, as I say, to add what the presenter was saying, that visit displays, sorry, the assets in the query metadata and the external assets. And then you can get more easy way to play with the Metadata API. And the last thing is about the data quest. Then we have two blocks. One is the beginner, and the second one is the intermediate. This one was published by Jordan. For the intermediate is the first one that we have two challenges inside there. Then now that if you're interested in the topic about Metadata API, is maybe something that you want to see.
Awesome. No, thanks for that. And there's links in the chat as well, and I'll put them in the YouTube recording as well.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kabir.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Christian. And in fact, I would say I learned about the graphical through the same way that Christian shared, because it gives you don't really have to set up anything in your Python. You don't have to write a code or white code or anything for that. You can just go to the sandbox and you can play around in that graphical, the interface that Tableau has given you. But I wanted a solution that stays inside just my team, and there were some security concerns and stuff. So we wanted it for my team, and I need to store those Excels. I needed to reuse those. So that's why I went through the Python plus Metadata API. But definitely a very good way to start learning on the graphical. To be honest, I wouldn't really spend a lot of time learning graphical, because that's not what you want to do, right? You want to just get the metadata for you, and then you can just refer to these resources on Tableau's blogs on how to fetch these attributes. So I would just copy paste, but having a basic understanding would always help.
Kapil, just before you continue, in the Q&A, Joshua had the question of, for those who may be using Tableau Prep as an ETL tool to publish extracts, I assume seeing the lineage for data elements only extends to the fields in the published data source, not the originating data in Prep. Is that correct?
I have not played around with this one on Tableau Prep side, but let me just read it again. I assume the same. So if you're asking if this code or this metadata API will help you extract the calculated fields that are coming, or the fields coming from custom SQL as well, or SharePoint as well, then the answer is yes. It would help you in that as well. It's not just only for published data sources.
Mm-hmm. And Kat was asking where we can get the Jupyter Notebook from, but I think you might provide a link for that as well.
Yeah, I can provide you as well. If you want exactly the way I want it, you can just use this one.
Easy. That's all the questions at the moment.
Sure. Thanks, Joshua. If that exactly was the question. Thanks. So now the second part of this presentation just doesn't relate with the part one, but it's totally different. But yeah, there was an interest in that, so I would like to share more on the data quality side. A good data is an asset to any enterprise, right? And a bad data is like a liability for any enterprise. So how do you track whether your enterprise or your team or wherever you're working in whatever setting, if the data is good or not? How do you track the health of your data? This is what we're moving to right now. Now, before I dive into how the dashboard should look, or the demo of the dashboard, or like an example demo, I would like to talk about this important idea from Dr. Rupa Mahanti. She wrote a book on data quality, and she has done a lot of work on data quality. I would put in chat the name of her book and then her articles and stuff as well. She emphasizes that choosing the right data quality dimension is a very critical task. You don't have to track each and every dimension out there. Instead, you should focus on the dimensions that are most important to your business. And when I say you have it's a very critical task. It is a critical task because she has laid down at least 30 data quality dimensions that you can choose for your business. Most common ones are always like the accuracy, consistency, uniqueness, and validity, etc. But you would know better about your business which dimension matters most to you. Now, giving an example, if your work relies on having like unique customer IDs, then you would probably focus more on the uniqueness and the consistency side. But if your data needs to reflect on the current events, then you would probably focus on the timeliness, how fresh your data is. And another key point is understanding how these dimensions affect each other. For example, if you have if you have selected 4 to 5 data quality dimensions like accuracy, timeliness, or validity, or anything, then you should pay attention to how these dimensions correlate to each other, because there might be a high correlation between those two, and you might be using them to figure out your overall data quality. Now, for instance, timeliness can directly impact your accuracy. How? If there's a delay in updating the data, the information might no longer be correct. So you see there's a correlation between timeliness and accuracy. So you have to figure out that, do you need accuracy or do you need timeliness, or you need both? If your accuracy is getting impacted only because of timeliness, then probably just have timeliness as a metric. This whole conversation about these metrics and deciding the metrics or dimensions, I'd use them interchangeably. So the whole conversation we are having, because there are many dimensions, and all the resources, most of the resources that you find about data quality, they would mention about the top 4 data quality dimensions, like I mentioned before: accuracy, timeliness, or consistency, uniqueness, something like that. But yeah, so understanding these relationships help you choose the right dimensions to measure. I've already mentioned the common data quality dimensions, but there are other qualitative aspects of the data quality as well, like interpretability, accessibility. I'll share a document just to show you guys her work on data quality. Like, that really opened my eyes on the dimension that you have to go beyond these 4. So look at this. This is DQ dimensions, and it says data specifications: completeness, accuracy, correctness, validity, redundancy, timeliness, traceability, ease of manipulation, trustworthiness. So all of these are the dimensions of your data quality. It totally depends on what business wants and what your... So stepping back a little bit, having any kind of data quality effort requires everyone in the organization to be on the same page, especially from your executives, because this is a huge effort to... Why are you tracking data quality? You're tracking to improve it, right? You have to focus on what do you want to improve and what is wrong. So all of these questions you should ask first, then you can go to the dimensions, deciding the dimensions for your data quality tracking. And then finally, you can try to put them in a dashboard. So now I'm moving to this dashboard here. If you don't like pie charts or donut charts, this is the place for you. But yeah, so this report consists of 2 parts. Number 1 is a homepage that is the data quality index or data quality scorecard. And the second one is deep diving into each section of the dashboard, each section of the data. For example, the first one you might want to see is how is your customer data. The second one you might want to see is how is your marketing data. Then you want to see probably how is my telemetry data. Now, and the first you see data quality index, which is 91% here. These numbers and everything is very bogus. I created this as a demo in a very short span of time. So I'm sorry you're seeing a lot of pie donut charts here, which are really hated in the community. But yeah, so data quality index, then 91% comprises of accuracy, completeness, uniqueness, and validity here. Using these 4 metrics for customers, we are comprising data quality index. How is it working? It's just, you can just use a multiplicative index of these, or you could try putting more weightage to the accuracy, or maybe you want uniqueness more. So that's why that's how you can put the weightage to that. And then you can use a data quality overall index here that for customers. And then similarly, you'll have marketing or telemetry. This is just a way you can start working on your data quality side. But this is customer data quality. The number one says that the data quality is 91%, and accuracy, completeness, uniqueness, validity. This is just to show you how you can track in a simple Tableau dashboard. First thing, for accuracy, you would always need a source of truth, right? What is accurate? If it's accurate based on a particular source or no, right? You should have two sources to match with, to start with. One is the source of truth. One is the one that you are tracking the data quality for. So I have used here, people have different, enterprises have different partners, like some are Johnson Brad, or some might have other ones. So I'm using the data from, just an example, it's not really real data, but then just an example that if you're using Duns and Brad, then that could be your source of truth, and you're matching your data with it. So it would tell you that from last month this year, that is 6% down accuracy, and completeness is 2% up, and then you're matching each and every record. And all of this is happening in the, obviously in the SQL side or on your data lake side, how you're doing all of these calculations, because this can get really tricky. I wouldn't suggest doing it in Tableau at all. You have to push it all to the database side. All the data modeling, I would prefer doing that there, because you might even have this one, that if the name is Kapil, then maybe make it Saini, right? So imagine how many of such names you would have. So try to do all of this in the backend, not in the Tableau layers. Then you would have different rules for completeness, whether the data is complete or not. Completeness basically would mean like if there are any empty values or no. Uniqueness would be if there are duplicates or not. Validity usually means like if there are any set standards in your company about, or the data that you're using, that email should not have gmail.com. It should only have, let's say, tableau.com. So if anything from gmail.com, it's going to flag as no. So you can just use like a Boolean true or false, and then you can calculate this metric, right? Then this is a very ugly way to present it, but yeah, this is the only way I could figure out for now. But this says that how much confidence you have in the data coming from source of truth. That's what it's basically showing you, that the DNB confidence is 8 and above for 88% of the accounts matching. It would just tell you how much confidence we have in the source of truth. Now, coming to the dimensions by attribute, you could have annual revenue, billing city, and then billing country, billing state or something, and then it would just show you the accuracy, completeness, uniqueness, and validity for that. And then you have customer status. This is, I don't want to click it because it might take some time, but this is like a dynamic zone visibility, and it can hide it. But this would tell you customer status or account name. This is like a company name. I would tell you the name is accurate or no. Billing country is accurate or no. It would just tell you all those details about it. Now, the same would be replicated for marketing. The same would be replicated for telemetry, but the rules would obviously change, right? The accuracy rules for customer data, right now you're using one partner. You could use another partner for marketing data, or you could just have two different data sources coming, and you just want to see what is the accuracy for these. This is how I would try to put together a dashboard or reporting to figure out the data quality, the data health of my data. Yeah, if you have any questions on this, I'm happy to answer. And I would also drop in the comments about the book that really enlightened me on data quality. And you can follow her on Medium or other spaces as well.
I suppose the one question I have, and it might just be the randomness of that sample data, is that top left donut chart. It was saying, I think it was saying 91% but it was only showing about 75%. If I'm reading
on the second one, it was showing 91, 75.
In both of them, it's just like the ring itself was 75, but the number in the middle was 91. So I'm not reading it properly, or it's just random data or something.
No, I definitely changed a lot of data. So
okay, no, that's
just but yeah, I think I see what you mean. So the data quality index said 91, but the accuracy said 75. Okay, so there's a difference between both of them. Accuracy is not my data quality health. The bigger metrics, the data quality index, and it comprises of a multiplicative index of accuracy, completeness, validity, and uniqueness. So you can just multiply those and get a number, and that would be your number probably, or you can just give a weightage and calculate a more robust data quality number. So those numbers won't match 70, but it might sound like that accuracy is actually your data quality index, but it's not.
No, that's cool. I was obviously reading it wrong, and you've cleared that up, so that's great.
This is an appropriate use of donuts. It's not a Pac-Man showing a rainbow. Well, I was really skeptical about using the donuts, but I didn't know, like, how do you put so many metrics in just one? You could also use like square boxes and just show the number, and then under that show just a little explanation of how you're calculating accuracy for customer data or for the marketing data. But yeah, so Chris, is there a way to send the resources later, or I should just drop it in the chat right now?
Drop it in the chat right now, but I'll take those links out of the chat because I'll put them in the YouTube recording and on the user group side as well, so people can access those later on.
That'd be better.
But yeah, the link to the Jupyter Notebook. Yeah, the link to the Jupyter Notebook. If you want to put that up as a gist in GitHub or something, and anything else, any other links that you want to share, we can get those back.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty much what I have to share. These two parts I wanted to cover: metadata and the data quality.
Awesome. And I don't think anyone's got any questions, right? There's a few questions in the chat, but we handled those as we went through. So again, here's Kapil's contact details. Add him on LinkedIn. It would be good to get those contacts through if you need to. And the next section is Fast 5. So again, 5 random questions. There's no right or wrong answers, purely personal preference. Pass if you want to. They're supposed to be lighthearted and fun, not really serious. I think, was it on this one, maybe the last one spiked some conversation, but we'll see how we go. So the first question is, what's your feeling on dual axis charts? Are they a beautiful hack or a dangerous trap?
Honestly, I really loved dual axis when I started using it, and it was giving me a lot more information about my data at the same spot. I don't have to look. It's basically giving you 2 axes, right? It's basically giving you 2 different information, like sales and profit, at the same time. But I figured that people really don't like it. They don't really reach to the conclusion that I want them to reach. And over the time, I have realized that it's more about the intentions rather than the aesthetics. So I don't use data dual axis anymore, but I really like it as a chart developer, but I don't use it anymore. I try to see like how to use those both in a separate views or thing.
No, that's cool. That's good. And do you prototype in Tableau directly or sketch it out first?
I started with the Excels that actually I would use a rough notebook or something first, and then I would try to put in the wireframe into an Excel to show it to my stakeholders that I'm working with and get a sign off. But over the time, that process has evolved because one time someone brought in a UI UX personnel and they did it on Figma, and I was like, probably I should know that as well, because not every team and every company would have resources to bring in a UI UX personnel. So now I do it on Figma.
Yep, perfect. And what's your favorite Tableau Easter egg, shortcut or obscure trick?
shortcut, I don't know, I just double click on the fields and it just goes in the rows and the columns, probably that. But what I really like is I really wanted to speak about this feature. Everyone knows probably, but it's not really a shortcut, but I feel it's really helpful to track the optimization of your reports, because that's pretty much what every dashboard developer runs into. So I really like the manage performance option in the help section of the dashboard that can give you the performance recording and stuff. And I feel like you really don't have to get into the data source and get into each and every custom SQL and figure out what exactly is wrong. And that can give you an idea of which query is taking how long and which review is taking how long to produce. So I think it really saves the time. I like that feature.
Yep. Yeah, performance recording is always good. And what's your favorite use for set actions? Filtering, highlighting, or showing off?
Mine is filtering. I feel highlighting and showing off are basically show off, because it's good to have, but they don't really add any great functionality or like doesn't produce any great value. But filtering definitely gives a lot of value. You click on something and everything in the workbook has filtered for that. So I like filtering.
Yep, perfect. And the final one is, what's your most controversial Tableau design opinion? Trick question.
It's a design opinion. I mean, we could just take examples of the pie charts, donut charts as well, because we just use it here. That's very controversial, but you know what? It's just a personal preference for this dashboard as well. But I have read a lot on. I tried to deep dive into why people hate donut chart or they hate pie charts. So it's really interesting to know the backstory of it. It's all about how our human eyes perceive the angles and this and that, and then we probably won't be able to judge the impact in a circular way on that particular angle. But I don't buy it. Sometimes if you have to use it, you just have to use it. But I feel like some people just go blatantly about like, do not use any pie charts at all. It's like, I probably have to just fill up this space or not. You saw what happened on the right side of the dashboard that I was showing about the confidence on the DNB. You remember? That looked so weird. There were just two bars. One is just the 100 minus the 88%. So if I could use just another pie chart there, that would be better. But then it would look like a semi. You know, the eyes, the headlights of a semi. On the left side there's a pie, right side there's a side, in the middle there's some pies. But yeah, I think it's pies that are controversial for me.
Yeah, as Jacob's saying, 2 or 3 segments is fine, but it's applicable usage as well. I think a lot of people get out of control with pie charts. That's the bad.
That's true.
I'll see if I can find, I think Steve Wexler on his website somewhere, exactly as you said, it goes through and compares a pie chart to a bar chart, and trying to understand exact proportions in a pie chart is very difficult. If it's not like 25%, 33% type thing. But again, your donut chart on that dashboard was awesome because you're only counting up to 100%. So it's pretty easy to see, you know?
Yeah, but then imagine like I had to take this one class on data visualization in my master's, and the teacher comes and says, do not use pie charts. That's it. I was like, I don't buy that. Sometimes you probably have to. And that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you for that. And I never remember to say this, but also I'm remembering now. All these questions are just generated through AI. So I spend a lot of time looking at a lot of different AI questions on Tableau just to get personal feelings. So especially for this one, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what your feeling is. If anyone wants to write these questions for me, please feel free and send them in, and I'll use them and I'll credit you as I've done in the past. Because I might look at 50 to 100 ChatGPT type questions to get 5 that I think are good, because ChatGPT creates a lot of interesting questions that I don't want to ask people. But I thought this one was interesting because it was obviously generate a lot of discussion as well.
And I think you asked, are my 5 questions over?
Yes, your 5 questions are over.
But I think you asked Kirk or someone, what is your, Kirk Monroe, like, what is your, I watched that one, and what is your favorite, like, what's that one feature that you would want in Tableau?
Yep.
Did you ask? Yeah, so I would take that question right now. I personally, I am literally, I am struggling with the version control and, just the documentation. So I would feel the whole metadata API extraction that I just mentioned about, and then the version control of a Tableau workbook or version control of your data source, so the SQL or something. I feel like there should be some way Tableau should bring it in the environment. It could be Git, an integrated Git way or something, but that's something that I would really like. I know you didn't ask me that question, but I was only prepared for that question. So I have to mention.
So remember that these questions are different for everybody.
Okay.
Right. So Kirk's questions were just Kirk's. No one else sees those questions. No one else sees your questions. Some of them, obviously, over time, the phrasing would be very close. But if I can see that, I'll drop those questions out as well. As I said, I don't just ask ChatGPT for 5 questions. I'm asking for blocks of 20 to pick out a few. So that's probably the most effort I go into preparing for the tug, is trying to get 5 nice questions. There's, if we go back through them again, oops, my mouse works properly. There's no right or wrong answer to this. It's what you feel. There's no right or wrong answer to this. It's what do you do? What do you feel? What is your best answer, right? There's nothing in that. Sorry, I keep jumping on to the next slide. It's what is your opinion, because that might be different to mine, and I don't care. I don't know if my opinion's right or wrong or whatever. It's just what you feel about it. And there's a few other tugs that have sort of taken this concept, and I think they ask the same questions all the time, and that's cool as well. I just make sure that my questions are different all the time, because of, you can already see in the chat, is people are now actually talking about this and sort of, oh, okay, yeah, what's your opinion on this? Because everyone's got a different opinion, and it just helps build that education as well.
Yeah, I love it.
Good to talk about that. And as I said, if anyone wants to submit questions, please let me know. It helps me out as well. So the next tug is in, 5 days' time, a whole 5 days between meetings. Nicole is repeating her talk from TC25 about secure and accessible landing pages. If you're in Europe, it's pretty bad. If you're in the US, it's pretty good. Register using the QR code, jump onto the user group website, etc. And already the question that was in the chat earlier was, how do you watch previous recordings? So this tug and a lot of other online tugs, the recordings are on YouTube, YouTube/@TeamDataFam, because that's YouTube's URL. I can't fix that. So you can go back there and watch recordings from, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 years or so of online tugs. Also new for this year, so every tug in 2025 is on the Spotify and the Apple podcast. They're audio only, but what I do with that and what a lot of people do is you can listen to the podcast while you're driving the car or doing something else where you can't watch YouTube, and then you know what to go back and watch on YouTube. And also the audio podcast, I listen to it at about 1.2 speed. You can listen to it faster, get through them faster. And then if you need to actually go and look at something, so we need to go and look at that Python code from today, you can come back, you sort of know about where that is and jump into that episode. And the same as I said at the start, if anyone's got any questions or they want to present or anything, just email me at team.datafam@gmail.com. We'll find a slot, we'll get it through. What I will say about this recording is obviously when this goes up on YouTube, there'll be the links that we've talked about today, and back on the page for the event on the user group's Tableau website, I'll include those details as well. So they're not there at the moment, they will be there soon. But thank you, Kapil, for that. That was awesome. I wanted to see that code and see how you did it. I probably wouldn't use a Jupyter Notebook. I just use straight Python, but it's all good. It all helps. It gives you the rough logic of what you need to do to get that sort of thing done, and get into things like data dev quest and just build up that knowledge if you want to. It's pretty easy to learn Python these days, so it's fine.
Yeah, I was just saying thank you for having me. And I honestly built that code by vibe coding, and yeah, it's pretty easy. I'll
Do you
share
want to
the workbook as well.
do you want to explain vibe coding for people that don't know what it is?
Vibe coding is just like you're just free and you don't have much work or something. I don't know if it's just like you have some time and you're just figuring out you have a problem statement in your head, but you don't really know how to reach to the and output of it using a code. So you just probably use some AI LLM or something, and then you would figure out, you would prompt it, and you would get an answer and output, and then just like vibing with it. I hope that's
Yes. No, and I'm using that a lot more these days for different clients that know I'm using AI assisted technology as well. Is you can just ask the AI to write you some code, and that code might be right or wrong. But if it's wrong, you can go back to the AI and say, and it's wrong here. I don't know an AI that's going to perfectly know how to use the Tableau Metadata API. But it's vibing is you've got AI to help you as a companion. You're writing the code, AI is writing the code. Between the both of you, you get it figured out. It does speed up development a lot.
Yeah, just to add a little example, like when I was working on this code, I had an issue with the name, that this code is showing some safety concerns, some security concerns, because you are trying to filter on a name of a workbook. And I was like, Tableau is showing in this documentation that you can filter on workbook name, but if I'm doing it here showing security concerns, then I have to come in the picture knowing the data, that how can I figure out the other way. So I went through the UID way, and it worked. So that's what vibe coding is.
Yep, perfect. Awesome. Thanks for your time. I don't think anyone's going to unmute and ask any more questions. Now's your chance. No one. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you for your time. We'll talk to you soon.